Well, hi, I'm Adam Troy, and this is my wife Lisa, and we're here to tell you a story.
12 years ago, Adam and I met when I was managing a coffee shop. He was in college at the time, and he came in to see if he could bring his a cappella group in to sing one night. They were trying to raise money to record a CD. So while he was there, I asked him if he was interested in a job and started working with me shortly thereafter. Then we started seeing each other more and more and became really close over a short period of time. Then he came to work one day talking about going to see the new Star Wars movie, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan.
That episode 3, by the
Episode
way.
3,
Yeah,
right. It
put
was a
into
midnight
perspective.
showing of episode 3, and he said he had a couple extra tickets, and I asked if I could go.
So I didn't have any extra tickets. We had 3 tickets, and mine was actually given to me by my sister, and another friend of ours was already going. So I got off of work, and I ran to the movie theater and asked them if they had any more tickets for the sneak preview. Sure enough, they did. So day was saved, and we went to that movie, and we've been together every day since.
And then we were married a year later on that date, Star Wars date. I was working for the North Carolina Eye Bank back in 2015, and they sent us to Barcelona, Spain for a conference. And it was a beautiful trip. We were there for a week, and within just a few days of being home, I started to notice that I was feeling pretty poorly. I was having a lot of pain in my joints, my fingers and my toes, my elbows, and it wasn't like any other pain that I'd experienced. It was pretty intense to the point that doing any simple task was difficult. And then I started to notice I was really fatigued and exhausted all the time, and I slept a lot during that time. I couldn't get enough sleep, and then there would be nights where I couldn't sleep at all. For 2 weeks at a time, I would wake up every night at 3 a.m. and that was it. That was my night's sleep. I also started to experience what they call a brain fog, where I just couldn't remember anything anymore. I was forgetting tasks that I did every single day, and I knew something was wrong. We decided to make a doctor's appointment, and they really didn't have any answers for me. They gave me some pain medication. That helped for a little while, but not for very long, and I had another trip planned with my daughter to go to California. We were at the airport about to board the plane, and I got really sick. I started feeling like I was going to faint. I had a lot of pain, and we ended up not boarding the plane for that trip. We ended up going to the emergency room, and they ran some tests, and again, they didn't find a whole lot. They found some minor problems and some blood work, but that was really about it. And I was on my way again. So this went on for several months. We saw lots of specialists for various symptoms. Nobody really could ever put a finger on it until around the end of 2015, when we had a doctor in the emergency room mention to us Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disease. He said that his wife had it, and I had all of the symptoms of it. And we had decided that I needed to see an integrative doctor. I felt like there were too many things going on. It had to all be related, and I wanted somebody to look at the big picture. So I called and made an appointment with the doctor that I'm currently seeing in Winston. She took over the care of my autoimmune disease. She put me on a better diet, and then she started talking to me about Lyme disease.
The last 12 years of us being together, there's always been something that the doctors could not quite explain.
In December of 2016, my results came back and I was positive for Lyme disease. When they got my blood work back, they found that I had been infected years ago. They couldn't really say when, but that I had also recently been infected. So my symptoms were pretty severe after that second exposure. I'm not really sure when it happened or how it happened. I didn't have what the CDC will typically say that you should have: a rash, fever, to see a tick on you. Ticks are very small, some of them only the size of a poppy seed, so you don't always see them. That's what caused my symptoms to be so severe the second time around. It started out just as joint pain, and then it was my elbows, and that was probably more excruciating than anything else. At that same time, I was losing weight at a really rapid rate. I think within the first 3 months that I was sick, I lost about 30 pounds. It ended up being 60 pounds over the course of about a year. I couldn't sit up. I couldn't get out of bed. I was exhausted. I finally got to the point where I was taking breaks at work so that I could take a nap. I started having seizures daily, several a day. I couldn't think clearly, couldn't remember people's names. During that time, our grandchild was born, and we finally had the discussion one night, and Adam said, "There's nothing left of you for us. You've got to quit." And it was the first time I realized how it was affecting everybody around me. So I quit my job in January of 2017, and we started focusing on treating Lyme disease. Once you have chronic Lyme disease, you always have it. There is the chance of getting it into remission, and that's what we're going for. And that can take hundreds of medications, hundreds of different types of treatments. It takes years, at a minimum 2, sometimes 10, and for some people it never happens. So remission is our goal, and that's what we're working on now.
What I really want is I want validity. I want validity from the establishment. I want doctors to say, this isn't in your head. Because the biggest thing I feel for her is defensive and protective, because we have had doctors laugh at us, and we have had doctors tell us that this isn't real, that this doesn't exist. And we've got one doctor who believes her and one doctor who will treat her. We need Congress and Senate and anybody who's willing to be a voice for us, to push legislation and funding for research into tick-borne illness so that this doesn't happen to more people. The CDC recently raised their numbers from 30,000 infected people per year to 300,000, and I think they are still way off. I think they can multiply it by another 10 and still be a low estimate as to how many people are suffering from tick-borne illnesses. The key to a normal life is really some generic antibiotics. It's affordable unless insurance companies don't want to pay. And insurance companies don't want to pay. Thank God we've been given discounts by the pharmacy, but insurance isn't covering the antibiotics that she's on, and half of what she's taking is over-the-counter supplements and natural health to boost her immune system because the doctor doesn't want to drown us in debt. Anyone suffering from Lyme, especially chronic Lyme, is already drowning in debt. Insurance companies have to pay for this treatment, but before they will, the CDC and the IDSA have to recognize chronic Lyme as a legitimate illness, and hopefully we can help to make that happen.
Lisa and Adam need our help because they are carrying a big financial burden due to treatment for Lyme. So Between the Beats is giving 50% of monthly profit to support Lisa as she battles through Lyme and help find a cure and help other people who are battling Lyme.